Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
This is a bonus episode. What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 425. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Imagine being a multi-award-winning entrepreneur, brand growth strategist, and public speaker, regularly advocating for workplace wellness and DEI. Welcome, Brianna Regine Walston.
Thank you for having me. I love that intro. It was nicely put together.
You're welcome. And we thank your PR person for helping us with that. That is amazing. But I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you want them to know about you and your business?
Yeah, so I'm Brianna Regine. I am a brand growth strategist. It's so interesting how when you are living in your purpose, when you reflect, you're like, oh, maybe since birth, like I was just meant to be. I'm a brand growth strategist because you start to realize that the things that you're doing today, you always were doing bits and pieces of that along the way. But I've been a brand growth strategist through my own agency, Brianna Regine Visionary Consulting, over the past 6 years. We basically take entrepreneurs and decision makers from what do I do next to increase awareness, credibility, revenue, and scalability through marketing, communications, and operations management services. And it's not easy, but it's definitely rewarding. And I'm sure the rest of this conversation will get into some of the highs and the lows. I like to provide context through examples versus just like, here's an overview, because I think it's important to have transparent, deep dive conversations. That's the only way that true value is exchanged. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Why do you do what you do?
Because I like helping people. I enjoy helping people. That was really I guess the word is impetus of starting my company. Prior to starting my own business, I was working at a PR agency. It was the first time I was actually doing like traditional PR as an intern, an account coordinator. Prior to that, I was working with startups, small businesses. I was a nanny and babysitter at one point. I worked in corporate a little bit. Like I've done every kind of job you could think of, and all of them sort of culminated into the transferable skills that I use today. But more importantly, at the center of all of the work that I did, it was helping other people be seen or make their ideas come to life in a more efficient way, putting themselves out there in ways that were practical, finding the solutions on the back end of how to make things run smoothly. Like I was doing all of the things that I do today along the way up to this point. And I'm just being of service to those people. And that's really what I do today with the clients that I work with, being of service. That's my why.
And having 6 years in business, I'm sure you have many stories. Tell us a story that really stands out of a client, and feel free, only give what information you can divulge, that really had a transformative outcome based on your services.
Yeah. One that comes to mind is an individual who had been in the corporate space for years. That's what she did. That's what she knew. And on the latter part of her corporate journey, she had started her company as like a side hustle. And when she went full time, the narrative was her being corporate, like her role was tied to this corporate position and the sort of pioneer path that she led for the work that she did, but it had little to do with her full-time transition. And the transition was also challenging as far as what was covered. So we had to sort of pivot the narrative to be favorable to she's just as strong as she was in corporate America. She's still making just as much of an impact. She's just now doing it under her own umbrella, and sort of navigating the sensitivities that came with pivoting that narrative was a challenge, but we were able to do it. I think if I recall on the case study, within, I don't want to botch it, but within the first 2 to 3 months, maybe, we had lifted her brand awareness under her new narrative, under her own company, full-time entrepreneurship by like 65%. We were at our goal like by 65%. And to those who are curious, like, how did you measure that? Well, basically what we did was we audited the coverage that she had gotten 12 months prior to working with us. And on average, we determined, okay, she gets about 5 to 7 media placements a month. And so our goal was to, by minimum, reach that or surpass it. And so we were doing 65% to that goal within the first, I believe, 3 months of working with her. So yeah, it was nice to see how the transformation of the narrative gave her like that level of reassurance of, oh yeah, I can do this full time, and she's not the type of client to have necessarily any doubts, at least wearing it on her sleeve, but we're all human at the end of the day. And entrepreneurship is very challenging, and even the most confident of individuals, it will test you. There are some highs and there are definitely some lows. So, the results that we were able to get for her, I think just added fuel to the fire as far as like, yeah, I can do this. I'm going to continue to do this. I'm born to do this, even though I'm later in the game as far as not only my career, but also my age. Like, age is only but a number. And I'm out here, sort of reinventing myself, and being a part of that transformation into her new chapter was very meaningful, for sure.
What is your zone of genius?
That's a question that I ask my clients, because I always use it as like a goalpost of where they like to be, and same thing for my team. And it's definitely something that I've embraced over the past 2 years. My zone of genius right now is strategizing. Like, if I can strategize marketing, communications, operations management, cool. And to give some comparison, when I first started, it was the strategy and the implementation. Now, let me just strategize and have someone else do the implementation. And it's not that I can't do it. It's just that I feel I thrive more and my creative juices flow when it stops at, here's the strategy. Yeah, make you guys feel so confident to put it into action now. So definitely my strategic thinking, for sure.
Tell us your story, your backstory, transitioning from employee to boss lady.
How deep do you want to go? I will start it off towards like the last point, I guess you can say, before it actually happened. So I was working at a PR agency. It was, I guess you consider my first, or one of my first, like, big girl jobs. I was an intern on paper, but 3 months in, I was definitely doing account coordinator work. Like, I just applied myself. They liked me. They gave me the work to do. And so I did it. And while I was there for the year that it was my last year of college at University of Connecticut, I was also freelancing on the side. So I was doing some brand development projects, some marketing projects, some public relations projects as well. And it was approaching my graduation. This was the winter semester of my senior year. And I just woke up one day. This is literally how I remember it. I woke up one day with this feeling in my gut that was like, you could do this on your own. And you can do it in a way that centers the human experience. So empathy and compassion could be at the forefront of every single thing that you do. And I'm pretty sure, as the average person does, they pushed it away, like I was like, oh, okay, like, sure, whatever, but it would not go away. I don't know how long it lasted, but if I had to guess, maybe no longer than a week. And within that same week, I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, I have this idea. I think I'm going to start my own company. I don't think she asked about money, or knowing my mom, my parents, she probably did. I don't know what I told her. I know I didn't have a lot. And what I do remember her saying was, okay, you have a year, figure it out. And now we're 6 years later. My parents are very supportive of all of my brothers and sisters and myself. There was a point where I thought I wanted to be an entertainer, an artist. So my mom got me singing lessons in Manhattan, and I learned how to play the piano. And they're always very supportive of anything that we do, especially if they see that we're working towards it. So yeah, that winter, I remember it was December in the same room. I was like, hey, what's my name going to be? And I came up with my name and I started doing due diligence about my mission and what my website was going to look like. And then fast forward to February of 2017, I'm now 3 months from graduating college. I made the decision at the PR agency. I was like, this is my last day. I'm not continuing forward. I think they wanted to hire me after graduation. I was like, I'm not going to take it. I remember one of my coworkers being like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, they didn't know I was going to start my own company. They just knew that I was leaving. So yeah, I left. After graduation, it was all right, hit the ground, hit the ground running. And we're 6 years in now. So definitely a blessing for sure.
How did you raise the capital to start your business?
If I knew then what I knew now. So there wasn't any capital. And I feel like that is because of the kind of business that I have. So we're primarily service-based, wasn't a lot of overhead. I was freelancing on the side, particularly with 2 clients. So I did have some money coming in, and I don't think I went full cold turkey. Like, I think I still have my retail jobs. So there was a little bit of overlap then, but I know for sure it was less than $500. It might have been less than $300 that I had to kick off my journey. And I used whatever money I did have to get a website, to buy my domain. And those were like the main low cost things that I prioritized first before I was like, okay, I need to build up my clientele now because I don't want to be in this spot forever. So it wasn't a lot by any means. Now, I would say there's many opportunities to get money. There's grants, there's loans. You could even go to family members if you have, that tight-knit sort of support. There's plenty of ways to get money, but I had no idea. I didn't do due diligence that far enough to to know the opportunities that were out there for me as far as capital goes.
Hindsight 2020, looking back, what advice would you give someone in your same situation?
I would say, and this has been a constant, it's something that I tell my clients as well, really know your why. Like, all I had when I started was knowing that I like to help people. Through years of experience, people became more defined to business owners, entrepreneurs, decision makers in municipalities or corporations, right? But the core why never changed. I like helping folks. I like getting them from point A to point B. I like doing it in a way that makes them feel like an actual human being and not like a dollar sign. And that has been the anchor for my journey, especially during the moments where I'm like, I think I'll quit today. And I laugh because the joke is in entrepreneurship, you want to quit at least once a week or at least every other week, but the why keeps me grounded. And obviously now too, with a team and you're feeding people and catering to like their lifestyles essentially, right? That also adds to it. But I also see that in the same plane as helping folks. Like, I tell my team, I'm not here to hold anyone hostage. Like I tell my clients, I want them to thrive. I want you to thrive. And whether that means that you're here for me forever or you're here with me for a season, I just want you to use this as an opportunity to enhance your skills, build up your resume, like craft a career that you actually see for yourself because you do have the capacity to do that because we are small, right? So the why is everything. It navigates, or rather drives, everything that I do, all of my decision making, that and my relationship with God. Like, the recipe for success in entrepreneurship is hard work, faith, and a little bit of delusion. Those are the 3 things that you need in order to keep your eye on the prize and be successful.
What is the best advice you were ever given?
I don't know if I was necessarily given it in the traditional sense, but just by listening to interviews of folks like Keke Palmer, or even knowing Tyler Perry's story, Issa Rae, Coco Jones. Like there's so many folks out there that if you just watch them or listen to them, there's this tenacity and agility and resiliency that they've had to have throughout their journey that reassures me that my journey and my challenges are valid and the hard times aren't going to last forever. They're not meant to, right? And they're given to you because you are capable of overcoming them. It's just really hard when you're in it, but persevering through them gives you a sense of, I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if the word is I'm that girl. Like, I don't know. It's just, there's something about getting over the challenging moments that gives you a sense of like, oh, I am capable. I am enough. I do attract the opportunities that are meant for me. Yeah, I don't have any traditional advice that someone has given me, but just based on the things that I have seen, resiliency is a practice behavior, as is faith. Like I have honed into my faith so much, particularly over the past 2 years, because I've had to. And it's what keeps me grounded and what keeps me sane. And even if I don't have the answers, it gives me a sense of peace where I'm like, okay, there's tomorrow, and I will take that over just putting my head so deep into the stress that it starts to wear on my body and on my mindset. And I start to exclude myself from being out there. Like none of that is worth it. Work should never make you feel like that's all you have. And that is another sort of non-traditional piece of advice, particularly I learned from therapy. Like, don't place your validation in the work that you do. Place the validation in who you are as an individual. And that will make any high and any low all the more easier to navigate.
Speaking of who are you, who is Brianna Regine?
She is someone who wants the best for others at the end of the day, even during the human moments where she's frustrated and she's like, really? Do we really have to make this harder than what it needs to be? At the end of the day, she wants the best for others. She's someone who loves to laugh. I love a good joke or two. She's someone who loves love. She's someone who is an incredibly hard worker, even if she doesn't give herself a lot of credit, but she does have an amazing support system that reminds her of all the amazing work and the milestones that she has accomplished. She's someone that loves her family and her support system. So best friends, close friends, family, extended family, so much, will not be able to do what she's doing without them. And she's someone who doesn't necessarily take no for an answer as far as goals go, whether it's my goal or a goal that a client has. No is just a not right now. It's a not right now. And she's someone who perseveres despite all obstacles. That's who she is.
Talk about mental wellness and entrepreneurship.
I feel like that's been sort of like an underlying theme of the conversation thus far. For me, mental well-being is everything. It's what I prioritize, particularly for my team, as much as I do myself. Because if you're not good, then you won't be good for anything that you do, any space that you try and take up. Like, you have to be good internally. And for me, that looks like therapy. That also looks like listening to my brain when it's like, we're done for the day. You have tried everything you could possibly do. Shut the laptop. Or sometimes it's take a break, go wash the dishes, go play with the dogs, go walk the dog, go out and grab lunch, just to sort of give my brain what it needs to take a minute to pause and reset. It also looks like honoring my emotions. Like if I'm feeling a certain kind of way, sometimes it's best to sit in the emotions, even if it's just to get to a point of resolve within myself. So that way I can then continue doing what it is that I'm supposed to do. Mental well-being is everything. Like, yeah, if you're not good, you won't be good for anything that you do. And that's just facts. And in entrepreneurship, that's particularly important because you kill what you eat. That's the saying, right? Sometimes, especially as a Black woman entrepreneur, there may be circumstances where you feel like you don't have the luxury to not keep on going, to not prioritize yourself because the bills have to be paid or because the client wants XYZ and you want to make sure that you are operating at a certain capacity always. And the list goes on and on and on. But work should not come before your ability to be at peace with yourself, especially as an entrepreneur.
We've heard it's called self-care, but I've heard a therapist say caring for self. How do you care for self?
My support system, like particularly this year, March to about May, it has been challenging business-wise. It's probably been the most challenging phase within my business, and I'm documenting that. So one day we'll release it because I do think it's important to give context and examples to the challenging moments in entrepreneurship instead of just reflecting on it and being like, yeah, it was hard. But in that time, particularly leaning on my support system. So even after a hard week, knowing that I'm going to see my friends Friday night and we're going to have wine and we're going to laugh and we're going to connect with each other, or just being so close with my family, particularly my parents. So after a long day, like just going and being around them and harassing them, being like, so what are you up to? My support system is everything. That is a huge part of caring for myself and also learning what I like to do. So I enjoy going to Barnes and Noble and reading or just looking at books. I enjoy being by the water. I enjoy going to the movies, and these are all things by myself. I enjoy going to Chick-fil-A. I do things that I know I enjoy doing that will make me feel good, that it wasn't just work 24/7, 7 days out of the week. And giving myself permission to add caring for myself to my to-do list has done wonders for me mentally, as far as, again, going back to not placing the validation in the work and what I can do for others, but really in just who I am and just being.
There are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
I feel like I always say Fenty Beauty, so I'm trying to think if there's someone else that's dominating. You know what? And maybe because she's just top of mind, I'm going to her concert in a few weeks. I'm going to say Beyonce. Beyonce has been dominating for years, okay? But what I admire about her is that whoever's working with her on her team, and the only person that I really, really know is Yvette Noel-Schur, her publicist, who is Black. I'm sure that her support system includes her team, because regardless of any negative narratives or I'm sure any challenges that she may face, she carries it with so much grace. And she doesn't let anything in the public eye taint her image. And that's really hard to do as someone such as herself. From a technical standpoint, she works so hard and it shows. She's one of the top performers definitely in my time. She's amazing. Her work ethic is insane. And the proof is in the pudding. Her shows, I'm so excited to see her for the first time later this month. But just the glimpses of the stage quality that I've seen, it's expensive to put on those kinds of shows, and is a testament to her reinvesting in herself as well and reinventing herself too. Every album is a different truth of who Beyonce is and who she's becoming. And all of it's true. It's just different phases of it. And I think the main takeaway from that is, especially as an entrepreneur and a Black woman entrepreneur, sometimes people try to place you in a box. And I feel the narrative of being who you are in all phases of who you are needs to be put out more. So that way folks can be more accepting of the natural change that's going to come when a human develops, versus trying to hold them into one aspect of how they're perceiving them. Does that make sense? Like it should be a non-linear like wave of, if you're gonna rock with me the entire time, darling. Because I'm a human being. I'm gonna ebb and I'm gonna flow. And that's what Beyonce does. And I totally admire her about that because she does it so well and she does it so unapologetically.
How do you make impact daily?
How do I make impact daily? That's a good question. By leading with integrity and coming from a place of intentionality, I do my best to live each day following my purpose, which goes back to being of service. So for my team and my clients, that's having their best interest in mind. And whether it's being empathetic to a teammate who, their child is sick, so they can't work that day. Okay, that's fine. I'll step in and along with my manager, we'll pick up where you left off. It's fine. Like family comes first. Or whether it's a client who maybe may not vocalize that they're having a hard time in their entrepreneurship journey, but I can pick up what they're not saying and speaking to that versus having a conversation solely be about the work only. Because in entrepreneurship, it is going to test you personally as much as is going to test you professionally and vice versa. So being able to see them and see their experience and make them feel like they have a safe space to vent if they need to, whether it's with my friend, if I'm noticing that they're sort of isolating themselves, being mindful of that and letting them know, hey, you have a safe space if you want to talk, making sure that I tell my siblings and my family that I love them and not taking them for granted. And, that may not necessarily be the traditional sense of being of service to them, but I would like to think that when you vocalize, hey, I love you, hope you're good, you good? Like those check-ins just gives them the emotional support that they may be needing to carry on with their day. So I try my best to live each day and make an impact on everyone that I engage with by being intentional and living in my purpose and being of service in some capacity, whether it be through my words or through action.
And who is your ideal client?
Beyonce. No, I'm kidding. Although my ideal client is someone who is serving underrepresented communities in some way. And when I say underrepresented communities, I'm not only talking about race and ethnicity, I'm also talking about gender and sexual orientation and age and disability. Like, as long as they are being of service in some capacity, we want to work with them. And that doesn't have to necessarily look like your traditional social cause nonprofit, although we do work with nonprofits. It can be a municipality who has, a workforce development initiative and putting that together and figuring out the best ways to reach as many of their target audience as possible. So we're not leaving people out of the equation and we are giving them opportunities to develop their workforce skills. Or it can be a lifestyle client who wants folks to find love and telling their story about why that is important and what that does for you and that you do have permission to have that love. Or it's an artist who is using their creativity to talk about their experiences as a Black man in America or as someone who came up, a low income family, who's Hispanic and has now signed a deal and they want to show and be a representation of, hey, other folks like me can do it too, right? So as long as there's a level of not being self-serving, we're willing to work with them. And obviously, having a budget, but I joke, but more importantly, just being a nice human being. Like they too have to have that level of empathy and compassion because of the work that they're doing. Like it needs to be in alignment with, why are you doing this? What's the end game for you? And as long as there's a desire to leave this earth empty, cool, we're in alignment. Let's work. You're an ideal client for sure.
I want you to have a monologue. I want you to name this person, living or not. They've impacted your life so much. Name this person, and what are you saying to this person?
I immediately think of my parents. So I'm trying to like combine their names together. We'll call it the person, I don't know, we'll call them Rich Kira. That is a horrible name. I don't think that is a legitimate name, but we'll call them Rich Kira. And I would say thank you. Thank you for holding on to each other for the past, I think they're approaching 29 years together, 25, 26 years married, something along those lines. Thank you for holding on to each other. Thank you for doing the work that you guys have done that obviously your children do not see, to choose each other every day and make raising us so safe. Thank you for listening during times where sometimes I'm probably not even making any sense. Thank you for finding humor in situations. Thank you for pouring into myself and my siblings as much as you guys have, probably beyond what we could even comprehend until we have children of our own one day. Thank you for the sacrifices, again, some of which that we probably aren't even fully aware of. As the firstborn, though, I feel like I pick up more than what my siblings have just because I was first. Thank you for letting me shine. Thank you for the love that you have given me. It definitely has been substantially important to this crazy journey that I've decided to take on as an entrepreneur. And I thank God that he chose y'all to be my parents, Rich Kara. So thank you.
What do you need right now that you don't have to move the needle forward?
Capital. Capital. I have learned this year in particular, like, I feel like there's not enough conversation about how year 6 is much like year 1, because you're over that traditional, okay, if you make it 5 years in business, that means you're doing something right. Like, that's the sort of worldwide narrative, right? And I can see why 5 years is a nice benchmark. But when you're preparing for year 6 to 10 and you're in year 6, I just feel like you want to, or for me, I'll speak for me, I want to elevate even more than I have been over the past 5 years. And I know more now than I did then. So there's just more opportunity I want to be able to provide to my current team and for additional team members and just entrepreneurs at large. You know, I want to have a co-working space. I want to provide more opportunities for myself, honestly. Like, throughout my entrepreneurship journey, I have not been paid consistently, but I would love to be. And having capital gives me the leverage to provide the opportunities that I want. And even down to like my clients, the software that we use, right? Like, being able to up level that is huge. So capital for sure. But there's a plan. I'm a strategist, remember. So I say that with things in motion to get to all of those things.
Legacy, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Someone who did the work and did it in a way that didn't put the dollar sign first, but that put the human experience first and came from a place of integrity. Simply put, you know, I don't want to ever go out as someone that was selfish or self-righteous or a fraud. I want to go out as someone who did what they said they were going to do. And I do that now. And I also want to go out as someone who loved folks unconditionally while they were here. So gave them their flowers, vocalized how much they appreciated folks for just being. I tell my team I'm grateful for them at least once a week. Everybody, at least. My friends and my family, I say I love you all the time. My clients, I say you're appreciated. We appreciate you. Like, what's the harm in that? So I also want to be remembered as someone who always vocalized their gratitude.
And speaking of gratitude and appreciation, I want you to have a thank fest. And I want you to thank individuals and situations that has impacted your life. Have at it.
I love that. So common theme, clearly my parents, y'all can tell that I'm very close with them. So thank you to my parents for just creating such a safe space for me to even build my business literally in our family home. Thank you for my siblings for doing what siblings do, getting on my nerves, but at the same time, showing up in the moments where I'm celebrated. And we do that for each other. And we're so blessed to have the family unit that we do, especially as I take on this entrepreneurship journey. I want to thank my two best friends. They know who they are. They're phenomenal. No one gets us like we get each other. And they're great. They show up when they show up. And I could not do what I've been able to do without them. I want to thank my close friends, the ones that both of them are actually in Connecticut. So the ones that I've met through work, the ones that I've known since childhood. Thank you for pouring into me and the encouraging words, vouching for me, writing recommendations for me. It's been awesome. Thank you for my extended family who also celebrate me, who check in with me, who go into rooms and, well, my cousin or my granddaughter, yeah, she does this. Like I hear it. I see you. I may laugh when you tell me, but it really does mean a lot that you guys take pride in what it is that I'm building and the work that I'm doing. Thank you to my team who trust my crazy self and who trust little old me who has built this business and clearly feel like the culture and the work that we do aligns with where you see yourself. So thank you for dedicating your time and your skills to pouring into BRVC, especially in year 6, where I feel like we are in a transition period to go to our next level. It's really exciting. Thank you to our awesome clients, past, current, prospective, who trust BRVC to bring your vision to life. We enjoy working with you so much. The work that we do for you and the work that you are doing on your own is not small. It is impactful. And we are here to just maximize the level of impact so the world knows it too. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What is the biggest takeaway that you want our audience to leave with from this interview?
If you are an aspiring entrepreneur or you're beginning your entrepreneurship journey, the main takeaway I want you to have is that your journey is going to be nonlinear. There isn't a straight, perfect path to entrepreneurship. Everyone's path is different by reason. It's meant to be that way because entrepreneurship is going to test you personally. And as you grow personally, it's also going to impact your professional entrepreneurship endeavors. So embrace the nonlinear path that's ahead and know that you cannot do it on your own. Entrepreneurships or entrepreneurs, 9 times out of 10, you are type A. You are super confident in your ability to do work. You know, if you put your mind to something, you can do it. You don't take no for an answer. Check, 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 check. But still, you cannot do it by yourself. You will run yourself into a rut. You will burn out. You have to cultivate and lean on your support system. Even if it's not for the technical aspect of the work, it's for the mental, emotional, physical rejuvenation that is required in order for you to show up as the best entrepreneur as you possibly can be. So lean onto your support system for sure and embrace the journey. There are many highs and there are many lows. So, and own yours. Your journey is yours for a reason.
If you lost everything and you had to rebuild in 30 days, what business, what industry, and why?
Same. This is a timely question. It would be the same. It would be the same industry, the same marketing communications industry that I'm in now. And in 30 days, I feel like I would do it even better because I have no choice, but I have more knowledge now, right? So I would know how to sort of compartmentalize priorities versus the subtasks to get it to be really perfect. So yeah, I would rebuild BRVC again from the ground up, but I would do it better in the sense of having the knowledge that I do to buy me back time from when I first started. And the target audience, the ideal clientele would still be the same. The ideal team members would still be the same. And the boss would still be the same.
If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
I would say, speaking of human-centered approaches and mental well-being and workplace wellness, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, or sorry, that's a really large scale. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being absolutely amazing. How are you feeling right now? Like overall. And I would probably say maybe a 4. And I would say a 4 because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Today is a heavy call day. So it's having to get the work done in addition to the calls that are happening today. And I haven't eaten yet. That's just the truth. I haven't eaten yet, and it's already 11 o'clock. So no, and I had a call before this lovely interview, which I do not count as a call. I count it as a rejuvenation and a nice way to start my day. But yeah, I would definitely give it a 4 because there is that level of anxiety of, okay, as soon as this interview's done, it's game time. And trying to find the time to eat. And yeah, sometimes when there's like a high potential anxiety kind of day, it gets me like riled up and I need to like really ground myself. So that's why it's not a 5. And you're probably asking, well, why is it still a 4? And that's because on my journey of entrepreneurship and mental well-being, I've done a really good job of being able to, and I tell my teammates this too, to operate in my decision-making by assessing the emotions and then the reality. So my emotions are all this anxiety and, oh, I'm tired and I haven't eaten yet and I need to eat to have my energy, and am I going to get everything that needs to get done today done? All that's true. And it makes no sense for me to even ignore it if I feel it so heavily, if it's so present. Acknowledge it, know that it's there, think through it, do what you need to do, go play with the dog, go wash the dishes. And then the reality is, okay, but stuff still needs to get done. But it's a lot easier to do that stuff because I acknowledge how I'm actually feeling and I'm in tune with myself. That's my answer.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Rapid Round of Fun. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Rapid Round of Fun?
Hope so.
Your ideal car.
A Lamborghini.
Your favorite holiday.
Christmas.
Your favorite color.
Brown, all shades of brown.
What is your favorite comfort food?
I'm just going to give a general category, soul food at large.
Your first job.
Was with a PR company, actually. I forget the role, but independent researcher. So she would send news clips to her clients every morning. So I would go and figure out when they were mentioned in the media, compile it, and then send it to her.
The last movie you saw?
Brown Sugar.
You relaxed doing what?
Laughing with my friends.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Beyonce.
Your favorite dance song?
Right now, Cuff It by Beyonce.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Yikes, this is going to be so not fun because I'm probably going to eat it now. Oatmeal. Because it's easy. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds in the microwave, but I can, all right, get to work.
Workout or hit the couch?
Workout in theory. I'm going to get back to that, but it's definitely right now, I'm living in my truth. It's hit the couch.
Brianna Regine Walston, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and do business with you. And feel free to leave all your social media handles.
Yes, thank you for having me. I enjoyed this conversation. It was a nice start to my day. Thank you for your willingness to hear my story and my journey. For those of you who want to tag along and continue following, my journey, you can follow me on my personal accounts on Instagram. I'm Brianna Regine. On TikTok, I'm also Brianna Regine. On LinkedIn, I'm Brianna Regine. Walston, our agency handles, Instagram and Facebook are BR Visionary Consulting. And on LinkedIn, it's Brianna Regine Visionary Consulting. So please follow us, reach out to us. Our website, www.brvisionaryconsulting.com, has all the information you need to get started on your journey to elevating your brand from a marketing, communications, and operations management perspective. We have an inside-out approach because you need both sides of the spectrum, creative strategy and operations management, to scale and grow your brand and take it to the next level. We work with entertainment, lifestyle, nonprofit, startup, and municipal brands. So if that sounds like you, please reach out to us. The worst that can happen is that we're not a good fit, but I always like to provide value so I can give you a referral and direct you on a path that hopefully gets you to the solution that you're looking for.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.